Dear white people, Jamal Bowman has a message for you. He posted it on X. It's got 7.2 million views. He says, Dear white people, I don't know why I feel the need to keep talking to you. Rude way to start a letter. I don't know why part of me still has hope for you and for us. Some of you are too far gone. By the way, if you're not familiar with who Jamal Bowman is, he is a current congressman who lost his race. And so he's not going to be going back to Congress. And so he probably needs a new business, and maybe grifting against white people is one way to go. But he says some of us are too far gone. Maybe, but maybe enough of you aren't, and you will join us in fighting to end white supremacy. So there it is. There's the new grift. He's going to end white supremacy. Got it. Says, I just want to call out the hypocrisy and the evil of it all and just continue to hope. I won't rely completely on you because I know what's most important is to work with my community and other like-minded allies in the fight for justice. But I guess I'll just offer this to you white people. I am 48 years old, and I have seen countless incidents of brutal police violence and killings in my lifetime. The first black man I saw violently attacked on camera was Rodney King. Those officers were acquitted. A community note says, actually, no, 2 of the officers were convicted. Powell was acquitted, but got a hung jury. And then the federal case was filed against him, and he was convicted on federal charges and went to prison. So you're wrong. And Kuhn was also acquitted in California, but he went to prison because he was convicted on federal charges. So you're wrong on 2 accounts, Jamal. Next was Eric Garner's murder of his cries of I can't breathe. All he was doing was trying to sell cigarettes to survive in an economy that failed. The next video is Philando Castile, shot and bled to death on a live stream, his child in the backseat. I don't see videos of Trayvon Martin or Breonna Taylor, but their murders and traumas are in my bones. And then the world saw George Floyd, and we covered George Floyd at length. We also covered Breonna Taylor. And George Floyd had arteriosclerosis and hypertension in his heart, 90% clogged arteries, according to the medical examiners. And then we also saw he had multiple drugs in his system, including fentanyl. So that's not happened, right? Even the expert for the state came out and said his heart gave out. He wasn't asphyxiated to death. His murderer knelt in his neck for 8 minutes. That's not what killed him. Jordan Neely is the latest. He was sick. He was not a threat. He was subdued. Still not a threat. And Daniel Penny choked him out. We watched it on camera. Now, I've left out another 100 cases, but the answer is never. How many times have you even heard about this? Never. What are you talking about? We've covered most of these. And whenever you feel discomfort from your whiteness, black people are harmed and killed. Whenever you feel discomfort from your whiteness, black people are harmed and killed. Okay. And there is never accountability or justice. This is the evil of white supremacy. It spans across geography. I wish I didn't have to live with this trauma deep in my bones. It's extraordinary. That is what I continue to lean on. Rest in peace, Jordan Neely. The justice system failed you. Kyle Rittenhouse and Daniel Penny are free. You're gone. We must still fight. Incredible post. So that's from a congressman, a sitting congressman, lecturing white people on the justice system. So he says, seems like I hit a nerve. White people on X are going crazy on this one. Must not like the message. Must have been a lot of truth in what I posted. And so he's still scrambling. He says, wow, this has been so triggering for so many of you. Do you realize you're actually proving my point? If you are that triggered by this, imagine how I must feel when black people are murdered consistently and there is no justice. Y'all can't handle a tweet. Fascinating. So it's interesting. Jamal Bowman throws a bunch of chum in the water and then is salivating over people being upset with him for manipulating these cases to serve his political ends. And what's so interesting is that he's latching on to the Daniel Penny case. Daniel Penny was acquitted, and that was in New York, where he is, by a jury of New Yorkers who are Democrats through and through. And so he, I think, just wants racism and race conflict to escalate. That's going to be his new grift. And he is now full steam ahead on X. So we'll see how that works out for him. Meanwhile, we've got other Democrats out there all across Washington who are also trying to figure out themselves. Jen Psaki is saying that there may be some backstabbing happening by Republicans who are in Congress at the current time. promising us at the forefront that they will support Trump's nominees for the cabinet position, but then in secret and behind the scenes doing.
There are two interesting nerdy dynamics happening in Washington right now behind the scenes. Some of it's a little bit public that tell you that it's not business as usual, which I think is a very good thing. One is Republican senators, not a lot of them, but enough of them are doing what I'm going to call quiet defiance, because basically they're not coming out publicly saying they're opposing nominees like Matt Gaetz or Pete Hegseth, which most are quiet about. Joni Ernst probably came the closest. But behind the scenes, what's clear is they are making clear to Trump's team they are not going to support this guy. So would it be better if it was public? Sure, so that they could explain to the public why they're opposed. But even doing this means they might be able to get rid of some of the most problematic nominees. Gaetz first. Hegseth is clearly on his way out. We'll see how long he lasts. I expect someone like Tulsi Gabbard maybe next. We will see.
All right, so we'll see. That's what Jen Psaki's hearing. Who knows if she has any inside scoop. Meanwhile, Nancy Mace got physically accosted a pro-T man. So maybe not a T man, but a pro-T man. One new brace for my wrist and some ice for my arm, and it'll heal just fine. Saying the Capitol Police arrested the guy. Yikes. Your violence and threats on my life will only make me double down. FAFO, hashtag hold the line. That's Congress. We also have Nicole Wallace and Mark Elias. They're very upset that Harmeet Dillon is now going to be the civil rights individual over at the DOJ. And here's a little bit of what they sounded like. Mark Elias.
Enforcement of the nation's civil rights laws involving discrimination, policing, lots and lots of things. But the thing that I am mostly focused on, or the thing that immediately jumped off the page for me, is that voting rights falls within this purview. And that jumps off the page because Harmeet Dillon ran for chair of the RNC against Ronna McDaniel on a platform of voter suppression, what she calls election integrity.
Yeah, it is election integrity. It's not voter suppression. We want people with IDs voting.
Complaining that the Republican Party was not doing enough after 2020.
They weren't.
To put partisan poll watchers at the polls, was not doing enough to fight against vote by mail and other forms of voting, was not doing enough to fight against civil rights and voting rights organizations in court. And the idea that she is now going to be put in charge of the civil rights division and oversee the voting rights section at a time when you have the election denier in chief in the Oval Office, at a time when Project 2025 wants to dismantle voting rights around the country, at a time when, frankly, the courts and voting rights are one of the few places we have to fight to ensure free and fair elections in the future, is beyond absurd. It is.
All right, there we go. They're beyond absurd. Okay, got it. You can tell they're pretty freaked out. We're excited about that. The more upset they are, the better that is for our side. Now, meanwhile, elsewhere in Congress, this is what it sounds like when you try to ask bureaucrats a simple question.
You were graded by the United States people, and they don't use your service anymore. You bankrupt.
That is not true.
You bankrupt this through your reputation only. Through your reputation, you are responsible for the fall of the Postal Service and the lack of accountability.
Congress is responsible for the fall of the Postal Service. I am trying to fix
on your
Postal Service.
With all the AI.
Before my watch, the same stuff happened.
With all the AI, with all the computer systems, you're worse than if I took a horse and picked up the mail and delivered it 2 miles down the road. That's you. I hope you got that on camera.
We did.
This is the response that the postmaster just gave Congress when he doesn't like what he hears. Literally covered his ears and gave himself the grade of A. And with that, sir, I rest.
Thank you for that, Postmaster General. How much do stamps cost now these days? It's ridiculous. All right, here's Stinky Eric Swalwell, who's very upset about the DOJ and the FBI now that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are going to be running it.
I worked across from Kash Patel on the House Intel Committee, and he was a loyalist to Devin Nunes and did everything to be a wrecking ball there. And he blindly followed the orders of Nunes and essentially Trump, and he'll do the same at the FBI. But to the agents at the FBI and the DOJ prosecutors, I say this, I was a prosecutor once. I had an oath to upkeep to the Constitution and to the court.
Gross.
And you're not helpless. You do not have to follow a legal orders. And the American people, while they want to see the costs of their goods and groceries come down, they do not want us to look like Russia or China.
You've already done that, psycho. You and your side have already prosecuted Trump 4 times and tried to throw him off the ballots. Swalwell, man, he's a prosecutor too. It just gets worse. Pretty much the worst of the worst until you compare him to Dan Goldman. And Dan Goldman was right in this. He now admits that the Biden administration has made sure that the borders are under control of the cartels.
The bipartisan bill actually set a time frame of 6 months, which I think is going to call into real question due process. But the point is that, of course, if we spent money on our revamping legislatively our asylum system and spent the money that will be spent on mass deportations to actually get at the root cause of the migration, spending that money on immigration judges and on a system that can quickly evaluate asylum claims, won't have to have a witness here telling us that fentanyl is a problem. We all know fentanyl is a problem. And in fact, we all know that the drug cartels control the border.
Oh, you can't. Like that. He catches himself.
Drug cartels control the border.
Scroll. Crap. They do control the border. Scroll. Yeah, not good. Mitch McConnell had a fall yesterday, and it's going to be hard to continue to make fun of Mitch McConnell now that he's falling and cracking his head open. Cuts his face after a fall in the Capitol, sustaining a minor cut to his face, sprained his wrist. He's 82 years old. Leader McConnell tripped following lunch, sustained a minor cut to the face and sprained his wrist. Been cleared to resume his schedule. Leader John Thune said he's fine. Okay, he's fine. He's in his office. He's signing documents, whatever we put in front of him, so just leave us alone. I'll refer to his staff. McConnell fell while walking from a closed-door GOP lunch. The source also pointed out that he's always had a weak leg from when he had polio as a child. All right, so it's polio leg. All right. No, it's not just that he's old and should have retired a long time ago. It's that he's got the old polio leg acting up. You may have seen this. Drones. What are going on with these drones in New Jersey? Here's a little bit of this.
FBI and our Newark field office, along with the state and local partners there, the Bureau is actively investigating the situation you mentioned, just the unexplained sighting of drone activity over that part of New Jersey, including proximity to sensitive sites, areas of concern. So we do not attribute that to an individual or a group yet. We're investigating, but I don't have an answer of who's responsible for that, of one or more people that are responsible for those drone flights. But we're actively investigating. What the Bureau has done to aid our state and local partners is what we generally do: enlist the help of the interagency.
Oh, great. So we're not going to know anything about these drones forever. All right.